Welcome back, welcome your faces to, yes, a brand new Poppy Playtime Theory video. Today we're going to be talking about some of the brand new ARG news and information that have come out and some of the things shared by Mob Games. And obviously, as you can tell, this video is formatted a little differently, so please forgive me if I keep looking back and forth at the script and you and everywhere in between, and even, and also Danny, Vito. Now, for those of you that don't know, me and Leanne have been like super ill for the last 10-ish days, and in that time, Mob Games have released lots and lots of new information, and they've given us some juicy evidence to work with, and of course, theorize over. And you know me, and you know this channel, but of course, you know me and my theories. We cover theories a lot on the channel. But I will be talking about bits of the ARG and in other videos. I do plan on doing other videos aside from this one, so don't worry if you're wondering this is going to be my only content before Chapter 3. I've got quite a few to do, and I've also got, again, the Little Nightmares one that's coming up next. But of course, I won't make an updated video on the ARG now until I've caught up and or something new comes out. But because I've missed so much, it's just better just for me to catch up and make theories rather than do the ARG news. So for now, we will be on track, but I've just caught up and of course follow the videos for when they come out. But of course it won't stop me from making videos on Chapter 3 and what awaits us, and from what hints Mob have give us and been leaving behind. But before we get into this video, I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't ask you to hit like and subscribe and do all the usual stuff. Support the channel, help me hit 100,000 subs. We cover a lot of Poppy Playtime, a lot of Project Playtime, and of course a lot of Little Nightmares. Lots of games that you can theorize over, we basically cover them. And of course, with the release of Chapter 3, I will be covering it like no tomorrow. Of course, we'll have early access as well, because of course, I don't know if I mentioned it before on the channel, I am a Mob Partners in Crime member, so of course we get to see a key a little bit earlier, so I will definitely be covering it. So of course, let's actually talk about the video, the theory, whatever's going on. So of course, it's no secret that recently Mob Games posted an image featuring 8 smiling critters. Well, these smiling critters may look adorable, I grant you that they do. They look absolutely spectacularly cute and would make an excellent item to own. I have no shelf space, but it won't stop me. But there is a lot more going on here than first meets the eye, or as you would assume it's an innocent post. It's not. And obviously, duly noted, there has been 2 posts. So one has been with 8 of the smiling creatures, and then one repost with them removing one of the creatures, and it just goes to show that they're obviously up to something. Plus, this is mainly not good news for the children, and I'm not just talking about the consumer children from For Playtime Co. I'm talking more specifically about the orphans, and even more specifically still, a set of children. And of course, those children are as follows: Christopher Rosenberg, Adam Snyder, Jessica Kent, Hannah Sharp, Rachel Thompson, Lenny Christian, Michael McDavid, Rachel Kausland, I think that's how you say that, Theodore Grambell, Rebecca Holrich, Emily Aarons, and Patrick Blanchard. These poor selected children have been highlighted in the recent document revealed to us in the ARG, specifically the Bigger Bodies Initiative. The worst part about all of this is that we know from what Mob have shared that only 8 smiling critters featured, whereas there are 12 children's names listed. What happened to the others? Well, I'm going to assume with Playtime Co.'s reputation, they're dead, and their death has been covered up as an accident, or is somewhere they've experimented possibly even further. But I think we'll come to learn a lot about this in Chapter 3, and I think these children's subplots, I think they'll be revealed to us similar to how they were in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. I think we'll get to see a lot of the case studies for each of the children. And I say this because we've already been shown many connections between the children and their portraits and the specific creatures that attach themselves to that portrait and they're given for. For instance, the first portrait we do see on the Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 teaser trailer was of a sad, sleep-deprived child. And around that portrait was a orange critter. This orange critter, of course, looks to be that one with the sun zipper piece. And again, we'll talk about this more later in the video. Further into the trailer, we can see 2 more shots of children in frames. The frame on the left seems to have the unicorn critter on it, whereas the child on the right has 2 critters, the green one and I believe another unicorn. But this isn't a mistake. This is a intentional detail that Mob have included, and I think I know why, or while I theorize I know why. This is more of a note, more of a record, more of a reference for the staff to look at, for the people administrating these gases and all the in-between. So so every critter has perhaps a different mixture, a different amount of mixture. They all contain different extracts. Like we all know they're going to contain poppy in some sense, because of course we've seen from the ARG information that the poppy extract is key again going forward, which we already kind of guessed. And we also know that the Bigger Bodies Initiative document tells us how they plan on mixing this gas, and again with the correct mixture, with vital ingredients at work. And as we know, these children are just being experimented on. And I'm pretty sure we said this a good few weeks back, that the whole gas was going to be related to, of course, the children and dosing them, making them sleep, whether it's like in a comatose state or if it's just a way to sort of numb them, or I don't know to what extent, but it's going to be dark. So with the sleeping gas and that out of the way, then, well, what's going on with the Chapter 3 mascot monster? What are we doing? So I think the whole ARG is heavily suggesting that Theodore Grambow is going to be taking the step into becoming Experiment 1188, as he was one of the persons listed on the document, and also the amount of documentation on him on the ARG is just suggestive. It's also suggested that Theodore Grambow is facing some very interesting challenges, especially with his imaginary friend, who of course I don't think is very imaginary. I think this friend is Experiment 1006. But what's more interesting about this is that it's noted that Theodore is a troubled boy, but Playtime Co. want to keep using him. Now I wonder if they struggle at Playtime Co. to find children compatible enough to keep doing runs upon runs. More likely they get a few children tested once and that's it, they're done, they're dead, or they're just messed up. And a great way for Playtime Co. to hide these children would be to shove them in toys. And I think this kind of is going to explain a little bit more about the hour of joy. Again, I think it's going to be the hour of dosing time that they get with the critters, or something like that. And I think Theodore has been led to believe that this hour is something special and is something that is carried with him at all times in the back of his mind. He's always being reminded about the hour of joy, you know. And of course, I think this is all from the learning of Experiment 1006, and feeding him this ideology or this absolute pressure. And I wonder if the hour of joy is of course something to do with specifically Experiment 1006's behavior. Maybe he gets a certain hour of the night or a day where he can actually roam without the security cameras watching him. Maybe there's a way that he's actually cut the cameras for an hour. Or we're talking about the hour in between the VHS with Kissy Missy, where Of course, the ending happens on the VHS, and Kissy is still lay there, but there's just dead bodies, scratches everywhere. That could have been the basically call to Theodore as the experiment to do whatever the experiment 106 says and act out accordingly. I theorize that all this exposure, all this overexposure to the gas is messing with these kids' mind, and especially Theodore's. I think his situation is probably a lot darker. I think he's going to be the one that's been tested on a long time. Similar to how we saw with Mr. Clark, I think Theodore is going to be one or two things: split personality or just completely lost. And again, I think Experiment 1006 knows this and knows that Theodore is vulnerable and is very easy to manipulate at this point. And of course, this is where all these smiling critters really come into play. All of these creatures have a gas pipe within their mouths from where the gas can be sprayed while they try to sleep or just be somewhere. They might just be emitting it slowly, but they are emitting it from these toys. Also, more importantly, did these toys ever see the light of day for the public consumer, or did they just use it on the orphans within the factory and their little school fakeness and care place and all that jazz? But again, I think they all have a certain amount of mixture or a certain amount of dosage, basically. And I think with them all having different zips as well, the special like zips, I think they are all going to be different instances too. I also think this is probably very practical in the sense of the Playtime Co team having to refill these critters. I imagine it's just a case of, you know, walking in when they're passed out from the gas anyway, unzip, new canister goes in and zip back up. Out they go, nothing ever changed. And of course they could probably lie and say, you know, oh, we've got it's all stuff in, it's got a chip in like Poppy has, you know, all that jazz. But I do think they are really pulling the wool over the children's eyes, and I just think it's going to go very south. Let's talk a little bit about what each zipper is going to probably represent within each of those little critters. So I'll of course start with the blue elephant with a light bulb zip, possibly highlighting a creative room or something to do with lightning in chapter 3. And of course we know something similar is probably going to be in there because power puzzles are all the rage these days, especially in Unreal Engine. And the pink pig, I think it's a pig anyway, I'm going to assume it's a pig. And this one has an apple, more than likely something to do with eating well, eating responsibly, and you know, all that kind of shenanigans. Similar to Bron's poster in chapter 1 at the very start, like, oh, I like to eat healthy and all that jazz. The white unicorn, and that has a flower, and I'm going to assume that this one is a flower that represents Daisy and the field that they are running into on the promotional poster that they have on the teasers and hints. I think it's going to be maybe a sort of way of being free or something, some sort of like symbolism for that. And of course the orange dog, and that one has a sun zipper. In contrast to the cat, the dog seems to have the sun, which is an interesting one because some of the content where they showed the sun and moon with a similar style was also hinted at again, I believe. And we know they shared recently for an anniversary about the whole the insert clip please, George, but the whole they cut this whole area out of chapter 2 where it was the sun and moon, and again I think we're revisiting that in particular here. And of course the green rabbit has lightning or power, I don't know how to really take that one, and I think this is more of a creature that will be found within areas within the power controls, or mainly something to do with just electricity and puzzles, and perhaps something to do with maybe even circuit boards. Oof, a bit iffy on that one. And of course the purple cat moon, I think we're looking at Experiment 1188 right here, or the very cute version, if you will, or what it's advertised to be to consumers. I think the moon zipper provides another link to the whole sleeping side to the creature. And of course the red bear, and that's got a heart on. And I thought that perhaps this is possibly something to do with maybe a play on Care Bears. This critter's job is perhaps to provide love, understanding, or something quirky like bear hugs, or possibly even regenerate your health at some point in the game. And of course we got the yellow rabbit. This one I think was the one I'm struggling on the animal with this one. I think it is a rabbit though. And of course they have the star zipper. Admittedly, I can't be quite sure what that creature is. I would say it is a rabbit though, but let me know what you think in the comments below. But I find it interesting that star is the zipper. I think this will be linked to either really great work or enthusiasm. Basically something to do within the school level. I think we'll see that one in the school. But I think these creatures, again, will also be attacking us in Chapter 3. I don't think there's going to be a way around this. I think they're going to be one of the main enemies. They're going to be all of the followers of Joy. I don't think the gas is necessarily only going to just mess with the children. I think it's going to mess with any toy that gets down there. Maybe that's what turns these toys absolutely crazy, is this gas. Maybe Kissy Missy never went down there, you see. Maybe that's why she's okay. But for sure, it's an interesting approach, and I must say I am excited for it, especially this whole dark side of Playtime Co. is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. It's so dark, it's kind of really scary, but like more of those ones that isn't right in your face right away. It's just like, oh damn. And I think Chapter 3 is going to be, I don't think we're ready for Chapter 3. I don't think we are, but I am super excited for it. And again, can't wait to play it. And of course, if you want to see that, make sure you hit subscribe and like and do all the YouTubey stuff. Let me know what you thought in this video, what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think and what you think of the format and all that jazz. But more importantly, if you have any theories, make sure to share them in the comments below. I love talking theories with you all. And of course, have a lovely morning, day or night wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next Poppy Playtime theory video.